Child stars, what really happens behind the scenes that people don't know about. When I was just 14, my mom used to wake me up with a smoothie and a smile, humming while she crushed pills into powder with the back of a spoon. She fed me different medication every morning, saying gifted girls need a little something to help stay sharp. I knew she gave it to keep me easily controlled. Still, I trusted her as a mom and manager, especially when the stage lights hit and the applause felt like love. I was a rising actress, starring in commercials and in the back of pilot episodes, hoping for my big break. As auditions stacked up and small roles led to bigger ones, I noticed something shift. I hallucinated during rehearsals and clawed at my own skin in dressing rooms because it felt like bugs were crawling underneath. When I begged for a break, my mom screamed that I was throwing away everything she worked for. When I tried to refuse a role where I had to kiss an older man, she handed me the infused smoothie for my nerves. She told me to swallow or she would drop the pills in the toilet and make me drink it from there. I was so wired that night I ripped out a few strands of hair from the person who tried adjusting my hem because I felt paranoid around her. My mom showed up sobbing with cameras outside, telling staff that she was doing her best and that raising a troubled genius was the hardest job in the world. I sat shaking on the floor backstage while she told the director I had a rare stress condition. When I couldn't catch a break, I tried to quit, saying I wanted to go home and stop acting altogether, especially after landing the lead in a new show I wanted no part of. That night, instead of cooking dinner, she placed a plate of tabs and pills in front of me. She handed me a spoon and told me to eat it. I teared up and refused, telling her that my body couldn't take it anymore. She stared me down and said she'd be back with opiates instead. When I still didn't move, she took the spoon and shoved it down my throat painfully. I gagged and removed it. Then I ate the rest of the pills obediently, crunching on the medication. I remember the moment my body gave out, along with the intense feeling of choking. I woke up in the hospital hours later with wires in my arms and a nurse telling me they pumped my stomach just in time. My mom stood beside me pretending to cry, thanking the staff for saving her daughter from a mistake. I was discharged a week later, but instead of going home, she sent me straight to a private youth rehab facility for my depression. It was there in that silent room that I nurtured my hate and created a plan. After I left rehab, I pretended to play the perfect child actress telling my mom I wanted to be close again. I agreed to join her for an upcoming talk show appearance about parenting high-risk youth in the entertainment industry. On the morning of the segment, I offered to hold her purse while she got dressed. I slipped out the back door, dumped her items into the trash. I loaded it with clear pouches labeled pediatric compliance kit and verbal obedience supplements, with my mom's name printed on them. Inside, I included the real pharmacy bottles she had kept hidden in her suitcases. I added dog shock collars, adult handcuffs, and a collection of sharp wire tools wrapped in gauze to the pediatric compliance kit. When we arrived at the studio, I walked calmly behind her as she chatted with producers. At security, the guard unzipped her bag and paused. He pulled out the first prescription bottle, then the collar, then the handcuffs. My mom laughed, saying that someone was clearly pulling a prank. She grabbed my wrist and stared at me, saying, "This isn't funny. Tell them it's a joke." I looked back at her silently with fear displayed on my face. One of the producers helped me pull my arm back and took me aside gently, asking if I felt safe. I began crying, asking worriedly what would happen to my mom. Hearing my lies, my mom leapt out and aggressively pulled my ponytail, threatening to throw me back in rehab. The security guard rushed to clip the metal handcuffs around her wrist to stop her from hurting me. She started screaming that none of it was hers, and I nearly broke out into a smile. I pretended to shake in fear and hid behind the producer innocently. Everyone in the studio stared at my mother in disgust, and when she realized what I had done, she cackled and glared at me before saying, "You conniving tool. You betray me after everything I've done for you. You would be nothing without my medicine. Nothing without me." I pretended to cover my ears and ducked down. My mom yelled at the producer and staff, calling them gullible. The producer asked the security to escort her out and stay with her until authorities arrived. They asked if they could do anything to comfort me, and I innocently asked for my favorite smoothie, this time no pills included.